Get this figure and more at Lunar Toy Store. Hey, my name is Jobby and ooh, I love me some Legend of Zelda. And for those of you who don't know,
what's wrong with you?
In a Deku nutshell, The Legend of Zelda is a long-running adventure game franchise where you play as a boy named Link, who goes on a magical quest to rescue the lovely Princess Zelda. Now, this version of Link comes from the game Skyward Sword, which in my uneducated opinion is a pretty good game. And I know this game has some pretty high-profile hate, and I respect their amazingly put-together opinion. Seriously, check out that video.
Fuck you, Skyward Sword!
But I can't help what I like. That hero's harp is fun as shit!
Only the hero of legend possesses this much skill.
Now, solo.
I look like a fucking ghoul. Speaking of ghouls, how was your guys' Halloween? I don't care, let's get to the review. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is amazing. The relatively simple sculpt on this guy perfectly captures the crisp and colorful in-game model. And then you turn the figure around and it's Color City. His weapons look fantastic. And if you think the sheath looks good, wait until you see the Master Sword a little later. And before I get to the face, as I always do, I want to point out his iconic knit cap. The sculpting on this area is particularly impressive, but what really gets me about it is its poseability. It's definitely nothing fancy, I mean it is just a simple but no matter what angle you rotate it at, it looks perfect. And that face sculpt perfectly captures that blank expression when you've decided to stop rolling for one goddamn second. And as a lot of Figmas do, this guy has an alternate face. This is so good that you could practically hear the and to complement his action face, you get a action hair piece. It just looks like it's kinda blowing in the wind. These look especially nice when you make him hold his weapons. Now to do that, you get a pair of grabby hands. For the shield, you simply remove this bar, disassemble that, and plug it right into his hand. That plugs into the shield, and then you get this leather strap that secures it all into place. The sword is more simple. You remove the pommel, and that just slides right into his hand. Don't forget to reattach the pommel like I've done so many times. Now he's ready to bomb some dodongos and smash pussy. And before any of you lovely, smart cunts point out that Link is left-handed, actually Skyward Sword Link is not. So about that Skyward Sword, it's beautiful. The painting and the sculpting on this thing looks even better than my life-size replica. Now let's up the ante a little bit. You get this grabby hand whose wrist is pointed forward. Now if you plug the sword into that and raise the arm as high as it can go, HYAAH! Now that is swivel-tastic. But let's get a little more sexier. This effect part right here, it's fucking magic. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to show the magic of the Master Sword, but this thing can make any sword pose fap-worthy. So as you can see, he's got a decent amount of accessories, but because this is Link, the guy who manages to fit 100 bombs into his bag, the amount of accessories is kind of disappointing. It's no deal breaker by any means, just a nitpick. I also wish he had at least one more face, maybe a smiling face or a shocked face. Just something a little more lighthearted. And before I forget, you get an alternate stand connector, which provides you with another way to put it in his back. It allows you to get some aerial poses like this hilarious falling pose. And speaking of pose, head looks up and down, little bit of head pivot, and of course you get that knit cap. Ball joint at the shoulder, which allows it to rotate. Arm moves out, little bit of a bicep swivel. Bend at the elbow, wrists up and down. Ball joint at the torso, and of course any ball joint can be a swivel. Coming down to his pantalones, ball joint at the crotch, ball joint at the hips, and his flexible skirt allows his leg to kick out that far. And he's got a decent spread. And just because you can see his thigh swivel, doesn't mean it's not there. Bend at the knee, up and down at the ankle, some of that. Pivot, and the toe. And of course the stand can pose. As far as Figmas go, this guy's on the larger side. Here's Masterpiece Optimus Prime, Figma Madoka Kaname, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, and the Figma Satsuki Kiryuin. You'll get it if you know who voices Link. Overall, this figure is awesome. Even if you're not the biggest fan of Skyward Sword, definitely get this figure if you like The Legend of Zelda. Or you could just save up and get the upcoming Twilight Princess Link, goddamn! Gotta give a special shout out to Sara Spence. Thank you so much for your $10 pledge. And of course another special shout out to Lunar Toy Store. If you missed my last video or somehow missed my channel banner, yes, I'm freshly sponsored by the New York-based Lunar Toy Store. They've got a fantastic selection of figures, not to mention they're an official Good Smile partner. Good Smile Company, of course, is the people who actually make Figmas. So if you buy Figmas from Lunar Toy Store, you bet your ass it's gonna be real. They've also got Transformers, Gundams, trash. Any eyes on Lunar Toy Store helps them out, and it helps me out because it keeps the swivels coming. So that's pretty much it. Play us out, Skinny Jobby.
Fly me to the